Ard was a depressed demon lord who unalived himself because he couldn't rizz up any demon baddies. However, everything changes when he's reborn as a peasant with maxed out skills, but he decides to hide his powers so he can smash all the baddies in town. Before this, Varvatos was a fearsome demon lord who ruled over everyone. However, because of his scary reputation, all the baddies avoided him, which depressed him since he hadn't gotten a Hawktua in 400 years. So, out of depression one day, Varvatos decided to delete himself, and while he was dying, he wished that in his next life he would be born as an ordinary human. The plot: God accepts his dying wish and reincarnates Varvatos in medieval Ohio, where he now lives as Ard with seemingly ordinary parents. However, he remembers most of his life as Varvatos, and because of that, he is naturally good at magic and martial arts. Then one day, his parents ask him if he has any dreams since he is now a grown-up, which makes Ard remember that he always wanted to befriend some Latina baddies who'd play with his joystick. But since he is a loser who didn't have any social skills, he tries to first befriend some ugly boys from his neighborhood. However, instead of approaching them directly, Ard watches them from his window, hoping they will come to him, but they all get creeped out and run away, leaving Ard upset. Refusing to give up, Ard goes to the market and tries to rizz up some fun-sized baddie, but ends up getting explosive diarrhea from all the anxiety. When the girls find him curled up, they get an ick and run far away from him. But this time, Ard doesn't back down so easily and hollers at the girls to give him their Snapchat, but his desperation only drives them to run faster. Depressed by their rejection, Ard falls to his knees, wondering why a demon lord who used to demolish countries can't even demolish some pair of cheeks. Later that evening, Ard sits on his porch, wallowing in misery, when Mayor Olhide approaches him and asks why he looks so glum. Ard confesses that he's unable to make friends, so Olhide tells him that he can teach him a simple method that'll turn him into Mr. Popular. Ard thinks he is about to teach him a political strategy or a friendship spell, but instead Olhide tells him that if he's respectful and kind, he'll make friends in no time. Impressed by his advice, Ard runs to the marketplace and politely asks a few brats to befriend him, but they all think he is lame and run away from him again. Enraged by this, Ard comes to the forest to cool down and ends up taking out his anger on some monsters. Suddenly, he hears someone screaming in the woods, and after flying towards the source, he sees a girl fighting an ancient wolf. After she takes down the beast, Ard comes up to her, hoping to befriend her, but the girl nervously asks him what he wants. Despite being scared, Ard asks the girl if she'd like to become his friend, and just when he starts regretting his decision, he sees the girl looking at him with curiosity instead of anger. This gives Ard enough courage to try again, so he tells her that if they become friends, he'll never leave her side, but the girl gets upset and tells Ard that he doesn't know anything about her and tearfully runs away, leaving Ard confused. Chasing after her, Ard finds the girl hugging Olhide and learns that she's Ireina, Olhide's daughter. Since his parents are best friends with the mayor, Ard thinks it's fate and becomes determined to befriend Ireina. He chases after her every day like a creep, but he keeps avoiding him for days. On her birthday, he gives her a huge bouquet, but Ireina is so annoyed that she uses a fire spell on Ard and changes his whole race. Then one night, Ard finds Ireina slaying some monsters and tells her that he is going to escort her home, but she calls him creepy and runs away. Failing again, Ard returns home so he can work on his rizz, but then he suddenly hears distant shouts. Rushing outside, Ard sees a group of goblins wrecking the village while his father tries to stop them. Suddenly, Olhide comes running and tells them Ireina hasn't returned from the mountains, and Ard blames himself since he was the one who creeped Ireina out, so he promises Olhide that he's going to bring his daughter back safely. Activating a flying spell, Ard reaches the forest where he finds Ireina surrounded by a bunch of orcs. Before they demolish her cupcakes, Ard fries them with a high-level spell. Once they are all dead, Ard checks on Ireina, but instead of thanking Ard, she tells him that he should have let her to die since she is lonely and miserable. Understanding her pain, Ard tells Ireina that he wants to become her friend since he is a loner like her, but Ireina insists that he will leave her one day. After a lot of convincing from Ard, Ireina agrees to trust him, and together they form a pact to never betray each other. Several years later, Ireina sneaks inside Ard's bed to build plot with him, but he freaks out, so Ireina changes the subject and asks him to join her at the Magic Academy. Unable to say no to her, Ard finds himself at the academy, having a conversation with the chopped headmaster Gold, who recognizes them as the offspring of 3 great heroes. While Ireina is pleased by the compliment, Ard wonders what Gold is waffling about, since his parents are useless bums who keep smashing without protection. Old Man Gold then tells Ard and Ireina they are exempt from the entrance test because he has heard about how they defeated a horde of goblins. Ard thinks back to that night and recalls that he told Ireina to tell everyone they defeated the goblins together, as he didn't want people knowing that he's stronger than Madara Uchiha. Presently, Gold tells the duo that they still have to take the written exam since he doesn't want other students accusing them of being nepo brats. Several days later, the results come out, and Ireina jumps happily after finding out she has cleared the exam. On the other hand, Ard can't find his name and starts panicking when Ireina tells him that his name is at the bottom. Ard is horrified when he realizes that he passed with a 0 and wonders if his intelligence level is worse than that of an Aniander subscriber. Just then, Gold approaches them and congratulates Ard for doing exceptionally well on the written test, which leaves Ard super confused. That's when Gold explains to him that his answers were so advanced by their standards, they didn't know what score to give him, so they ended up giving him a 0.
It's an evil world we live in.
Ard is deeply confused by the explanation, but decides not to bother Gold since he is already suffering from a receding hairline. Suddenly, Gold announces to everyone that they are lucky to be in the presence of Ard, who is the son of legendary mages who protected the royal capital from an evil god. Ireina notices the confusion on Ard's face, and later tells him that her father and his parents defeated the wicked god 10 years ago, which low-key upsets Ard since he wanted to live as a nobody. That dream is short-lived as Ard finds himself surrounded by hot babes who want to taste his lollipop. This upsets some rich brats of his class, but instead of fighting him, they take their anger out on a succubus named Ginny. Before Ard can intervene, Ireina tells the bullies to let go of Ginny. The ringleader introduces himself as Spencer and tells Ireina that he can do anything he wants with Ginny since she serves his family. Annoyed by Spencer's arrogance, Ard tells him to apologize to Ginny, but Spencer tells Ard that he will only apologize to Ginny if he defeats him in a duel. Suddenly, a hottie with F-cups walks in and asks them why there is a commotion in her class. Without turning around, Ard instantly recognizes the voice as Olivia, his former general from his days as the Demon Lord. Ard is terrified that Olivia will recognize him, but luckily, Olivia just tells him that she's here to monitor the duel. Moments later, they head outside, but Ard starts wondering how he can wrap things up without being exposed. Meanwhile, everyone in the crowd bets against Ard, since Spencer is known as the strongest in their batch. As the match begins, Spencer wastes no time and fires a fireball at him, but Ard casually blocks it with a simple barrier, as if it's nothing. Frustrated by this, Spencer launches a bigger fireball, but once again, Ard neutralizes it and asks Spencer why he was boasting so much when he's an ugly, talentless bum. Feeling humiliated, Spencer tells Ard that he's going to fry him using a spell called Giga Flare, which scares everyone in the crowd and leaves Ireina worried. While Spencer activates the spell, Ard aura farms by standing in front of the fire. Then, with a wave of his hand, he extinguishes the flame and tells Spencer he's going to show him the real Giga Flare. With that, he creates a fire tornado, which forces Spencer to accept defeat. After the battle, Ard coldly tells Spencer that if he bothers him again, he'll bang his mother and give her an offspring who won't be a loser like him. Just then, Olivia confronts Ard, asking him if he used dual spells during the battle. When Ard casually confirms it, the crowd lets out a surprised gasp and looks at him like he's some superpowered beast. While panicking, Ard tells everyone that a double cast is very common, but Olivia tells him that in this era, a simple double cast is treated as a lost skill that even the top mages cannot do. Ard becomes fearful that Olivia will uncover the truth, but she drops the subject by telling Ard that she'll find out about his secret in due time. A few hours later, Olivia tells everyone to party up since they will have a field mission. Once again, Ard finds himself surrounded by thirsty baddies who want to join his party. However, when Ireina sees Ginny standing alone, she thinks of including her in their squad since she is the only girl who doesn't seem hungry for Ard's sausage. After introductions are made, Olivia takes everyone to the dungeon, where she tells them that the mission is simple. They just have to hunt down a black wolf. But everyone starts panicking since the black wolf is a B-ranked monster. Moments later, Ard and his team encounter the black wolf. While Ginny panics and falls on her soft dumpy, Ard and Ireina easily cook the beast up. Ginny feels sorry for being useless, so she apologizes to the duo for slowing them down. Ard then tells Ginny that he can offer her some lessons that'll help her get better, which surprises Ginny since she finds herself unworthy of Ard's time. Noticing her hesitance, Ireina reassures Ginny that she's in good hands. Finally, Ginny gathers her courage and asks Ard to help her out. Pleased by this, Ard demonstrates a small fire spell, but when Ginny fumbles during her first attempt, she calls herself incompetent, and Ard realizes that helping Ginny will be tough since she lost all her confidence after being abused by Spencer. To boost her morale, Ard teaches Ginny script magic, where the user can activate any spell using the mana in the atmosphere. When Ginny activates the magic circle and takes down an ancient wolf, she gets so excited that she bounces onto Ard with her bazookas. This leaves Ireina feeling left out, so she joins in and hugs him with her pumpkins. As both girls try to pull Ard towards them, they all end up falling down a dungeon hole, where they are greeted by the floor boss. After doing most of the heavy hitting, Ard tells Ginny to deliver the final blow and overcome her fears. Ginny finally listens, defeats the floor monster, and gains her courage back. Later on, Ard and his team present Olivia with the horns of the floor boss, leaving everyone stunned. However, Spencer tells Ginny that she must have shown her Super Soaker Gorilla Grip kitty to Ard throughout the mission. Instead of tolerating the insult, Ginny tells Spencer to beat it, and Ireina joins her by putting Spencer in a trash can. While the girls are having a wholesome moment, Ard smiles until Olivia tells him they need to have a long chat. The next day, Gold tells Ard to participate in the students' battle event, which will be overseen by the Queen, but Ard quickly declines the offer, as he doesn't want more trouble with Fat Chugs. Olivia. At this, Gold begs Ard to reconsider, revealing that he wants to acquire funds from the Queen by putting on a good performance. Ard sighs and reluctantly agrees to help, since he believes that magic should be used to make life better. Impressed by his words, Olivia gets closer to Ard and tells him that a long time ago, her stupid brother said something similar, but since he deleted himself without telling everyone, she couldn't thank him for all the valuable lessons. Ard averts his gaze since he didn't like being bro-zoned by a spicy mamacita with huge wagamamas. After Olivia tells Ard that she's going to be watching him during the event, he becomes worried since he doesn't want anyone ruining his normal life with Ireina. Just then, Ginny runs towards Ard, and he immediately feels better after seeing the bounce effect on her milkers. To his shock, Ginny asks him to go on a date with her. Since this is the first time anyone has asked him out, Ard gets a little thirsty and wonders if he can use this opportunity to taste Ginny's milk factory. Brushing off his cultured thoughts, Ard agrees to go on a date with her. Suddenly, Ireina enters the scene and complains that she wants to come on the date as well, and Ginny agrees, since she knows girls are better at licking anyway. On the day of the date, Ginny greets Ard and Ireina in a sundress with her honkers on display. While the girls compliment each other, Ard feels his megaphone tingling inside his pants until Ginny tells him that it's time to start their date. Shortly after, they arrive at a theater where Ard watches a play about Varvatos and his old friend Lydia. However, when the actors make it look like Lydia was a delicate trad wife who was sweet on Varvatos, Ard starts cringing internally since Lydia was a total tomboy who was always mean to him. At that point, the only thing enjoyable for Ard was that two hotties were pressing their cups against his arms. After the play, Ginny thanks Ard for accompanying him, and seeing this, Ireina becomes jealous and grabs Ard, telling him that it's time to eat. Refusing to be defeated by an ugly surfboard, Ginny grabs Ard's other hand and tells him that she knows a good spot where they can dine in. As Ginny leads the way, Ard overhears whispers from an alleyway. He stops to listen and realizes that a group of sissy men is plotting to harm the Queen by using a high-level magic circle. Out of concern, Ard tells the girls that he is going to tail the Illuminati guys to uncover their plan, urging the girls to have a date without him. Ireina refuses and tells Ard that she is coming with him, and Ginny adds that she's a strong, independent woman now, so she's also coming. Since this is the first time Ard has made two girls come, he promises to look after them no matter what. After seeing the cloaked men enter a tunnel, Ard and his baddies follow them and discover a huge pentagon drawn on the wall. Ard studies the symbol and immediately realizes the whole gameplay, when suddenly a group of men tells Ard and his friends that their lives depend on them. As it turns out, the masked diddlers intentionally had that conversation in the alleyway so they could trap and kidnap some dumb brats. Knowing all this, Ard arrogantly tells the boss that he knows he won't flatline them, only for the evil man to torch him up. While the flames engulf Ard, the man laughs and reveals that he has no intentions of keeping his hostages alive. But when he sees Ard is casually standing in the fire, he stops laughing and asks him why he ain't dead. Ard snaps his fingers, evaporating the flames, and tells the stupid turd that his spells are too weak to delete him. After destroying the pentagon, Ard zaps the losers with electricity magic but leaves the main boss alive. Ard then tries to interrogate him, but the idiot transforms into a demon and creates a lightning burst to flee the scene. When Ard tells the girls that he's going after the demon, they tell him that it'll be too late by the time they crawl out of the tunnel. Ard looks at them like they're the dumbest hoes on the planet before activating a flight spell. As he starts flying, Ireina and Ginny are left shocked, wondering when humans got the bird update. Meanwhile, Ard chases after the demon and finds him wreaking havoc in the city by taking a girl hostage. While everyone is panicking, Ard reassures them that he's the son of the mages who saved their royal capital, therefore, he won't let anyone harm their peaceful lives. As everyone starts to calm down, Ard uses illusion magic to free the hostage before unleashing a spell called Flash of Babel, which blows the demon into smithereens. After the battle, the civilians hail Ard as the local hero, which later earns him an audience with Her Majesty, the Queen. Unlike Ginny and Ireina, Ard dreads coming in front of the Queen since his entire goal was to avoid being noticed by anyone, but for some reason, he can't stop being cool. While kneeling in front of the Queen, Ard catches a glimpse of her curvy body and becomes thirsty for her milkshake. Just then, Ireina casually addresses the Queen as Rosie, which shocks the entire court since it's bad manners to call the Queen by her birth name. However, Rosie assures everyone it's fine, since Ireina is a very dear friend to her. Ard then feels Rosie's gaze on him and wonders what attitude he should have with the Queen, when she suddenly tells him to fertilize her royal gardens. Ard is shocked, like the entire courtroom, as nobody expected the Queen to ask for a cream pie session. She then starts laughing and tells everyone April Fools. Ard sighs in relief before Rosie announces that she's promoting him to be a Pentagon class mage. Noticing the crowd's judgmental reaction, Ard humbly declines the promotion and tells Rosie to instead increase the funds of his academy as a suitable reward. Unfortunately, Ard's polite behavior makes Rosie more attracted to him, so she announces that she will grant him and Ireina the Pentagon status, along with funds for the academy. However, they must join a special force that directly answers to her. A few days later, Ard receives another confession from an ugly Torta. After he rejects her, the girl suddenly turns crazy and tries to tickle his pickle, but luckily, Ireina arrives and scares her away. When Ard tries to thank Ireina, she looks at him angrily before walking away. Meanwhile, in the headmaster's office, Instructor Jessica congratulates Gold for getting more funds from the Queen, but he sadly tells her that he really wanted Ard to participate in the students' battle event. When Miss Mellons asks why he's so interested in Ard, Gold explains that he wants to make him an instructor at the academy. However, since all the highborn staff are against a commoner taking that role, he had hoped that if Ard proved his abilities during the event, he might be able to convince everyone. After hearing him out, Jessica tells Gold to leave this matter to her. Several hours later, Ard is in his dorm room, thinking about Ireina and her mood swings. When Ginny knocks on his door, Ard tells her to come in, and upon entering, Ginny shows him her new lingerie. But since Ard has worse brain cells than a dude with extra chromosomes, he tells Ginny she will catch a cold in that dress. Undeterred by his foolishness, Ginny crawls up to him and tells Ard that she wants his vitamin D. In the meantime, Ireina cringes at how she got jealous over Ard when they're just friends. After changing into a cute lingerie, Ireina heads down to Ard's room to make up with him, only to find Ginny mounting him like a horse. Out of anger, she throws a huge lamp at Ard's face, while Ginny smugly tells Ireina that Ard would never bang her if she keeps acting like a jealous housewife. This upsets Ireina, and she tells Ginny that they need to have a battle over Ard's sausage. Ard then tells them to stop fighting over something so small as his sausage, and orders them to make up with each other, or they won't ever get to play with his joystick. Realizing her mistake, Ireina quickly apologizes to Ginny, who reciprocates her effort by telling Ireina that she got too obsessed with tasting Ard's banana. Suddenly, the door flings open, and Jessica tells the girls to participate in the students' battle event so they can show Ard who is more deserving of his lollipop. However, Ard and the girls are deeply confused by Jessica's sudden intrusion and ask her what she really wants. Jessica then tells Ireina and Ginny that if they get trained by Ard and perform well during the event, it will show the academy that Ard is capable of leading the student body as an instructor. Ard is shocked by this and reminds Jessica that he didn't sign up to become a teacher, but Sweet Buns tells him to shut it since their low-budget academy could use a talented mage like him. Turning back to the girls, Jessica tells them to participate, but Ireina tells her that she's not sure, so Jessica tells her that if they participate, Ard would get to wear a super hot uniform for instructors. At this, both girls tell Jessica they will not only participate, but do their best. On the day of the event, Ard learns that his parents and Olhide are going to be the judges for the tournament. After the first match, Ireina is called up for her duel. As she heads to the ring, Ard secretly hopes she loses so he won't be forced into becoming a teacher. Once the fight begins, Ireina nearly gets cooked, but when she spots Ard, she assumes that he's rooting for her and regains her confidence. Activating her magic circles, she zaps her opponent and secures a win that sends the crowd into a frenzy. On her way out, she runs into Ginny, who's about to have her own match, and they wish each other luck. From there, both of them dominate their opponents and steadily climb through the ranks, eventually making it to the finals as the last two contenders. Right before Ireina and Ginny's match, Olhide has a flashback to the time when his daughter had trouble building genuine connections. Then Ard came and showed Ireina that it's okay to let her guard down. Finally, the long-awaited duel is about to begin, when suddenly a bunch of cloaked men sitting in the crowd turn into demons and wreck the entire arena. Ard immediately jumps into action while Olivia, Jessica, and the old boomers decide to give him backup. At the same time, Ireina and Ginny try to hold their ground against the ugly demons. Suddenly, a demon pins Ginny to the ground, but Ireina quickly takes him out and moves to help her when a golem materializes before them. Despite being scared, Ireina and Ginny do their best to force the golden away, but their attacks barely make a dent in him. Luckily, Olhide arrives and tells the girls to leave everything to him. Using powerful wind magic, Olhide lifts the golem into the air and slams it down before crushing it completely with pressure. As the dust settles, Ireina brags to Ginny about how cool her daddy is, when suddenly Jessica shoves her hand inside Olhide's heart, leaving him unconscious on the ground. Irena's eyes widen with horror as she rushes to her father's side, while Ginny asks Jessica why she'd do something like this. Licking her blood-stained hand, Jessica reveals that her real name is Elzard, the King of Dragons, and she is here for Ireina. After being betrayed so badly, Ginny activates her most destructive spell and tells Ireina to run while she still can. Elzard sighs upon seeing the melodrama before destroying Ginny with a single spell. Before Elzard can flatline Ginny, Ireina tells her that she'll come with her on the condition that she leaves her friend alive. Accepting her condition, Elzard grabs Ireina and reveals her massive wings before flying away. Moments later, Olhide finds himself in the infirmary with Ard healing him. Realizing he is awake, Ard asks him what happened, and he grimly reveals that Ireina was kidnapped by Elzard. The name shocks everyone as Gold tells Ard that Elzard is the same dragon that destroyed the imperial capital years ago. Ard then announces that he's going to rescue Ireina, and is immediately met with opposition from everyone as Elzard's powers are known to rival the evil gods. However, since Ard can't reveal just how strong he is, he tells them, "Trust me, brochachos." After hearing that, everyone is sure that Ard can rescue Ireina, so Olhide brings him to the royal treasury and tells him to use it without asking any questions. Despite being confused, Ard agrees and ventures inside, while his father, Jack, asks Olhide if he is ever going to tell Ard the truth about him and Ireina. Olhide has a flashback where his daughter was severely depressed, so he tells Jack that he can't bring himself to tell Ard the truth, as he doesn't want Ireina to lose her only friend. Speaking of which, Ireina finds herself caged inside Elzard's dark mansion. When Ireina asks her what she wants, Elzard reveals that she needs the blood running inside her veins to bring back one of the evil gods that have been sealed in another dimension. Ireina then sees an ugly monster next to her, and Elzard tells her that she's going to feed her to the monster for the ritual. When Ireina asks her why she is doing all these crazy side quests, Elzard proudly reveals that she is a hater who hates that the world has gone soft. Ireina then realizes that this ugly hoe probably didn't receive a rose on Valentine's Day and is going haywire because of that. She then confidently tells Elzard that Ard will save her and stop her from creating chaos in the world. Elzard replies that if Ard learns her secret, he will surely come to hate her since she is no less than a monster. As the hope inside Ireina dies a little, Elzard smirks and announces that it's time for the ritual. Back at the capital, Ard is all dressed up for his mission and is about to skedaddle when Ginny comes to him. Ard knows she is about to yap about how she wants to come along, so he quickly tells Ginny to sit this one out. Unfortunately, Ginny still tells him that she wants to come since Ireina gave herself up to protect her. However, Ard loses patience and tells Ginny to go to the kitchen and make him a sandwich, because by the time she's done, he will have gotten Ireina back. As Ginny starts to cry, Ard activates his flight skill and says, "Peace out, ho." Meanwhile, at Elzard's castle, the monster goes all freaky on Ireina and starts licking her armpits, something you losers will never get to do. Suddenly, the monster combusts in flames, leaving everyone surprised. Seconds later, Ard descends from the sky and tells Elzard that he is going to delete her and her ugly goons from the face of this earth. With that said, Ard activates a 9 cast, which blasts away all the demons. He then frees Ireina from the restraints and apologizes for coming so late. While they are busy hugging and building a plot, Elzard becomes angry and boosts her powers to another level. She then tells Ard that the girl he is hugging is actually a monster. As it turns out, Ireina's last name is Laville, and she's the true princess of this world because she is the descendant of the evil gods who once ruled the world. Back at the capital, Allhide tells Jack that since the demon lord defeated his crazy family, everyone started persecuting anyone who had the blood of the evil gods, which is why he installed a proxy queen, so he could rule from behind the curtains and give Ireina a normal childhood. After Ard learns the truth, he tells Elzard that he doesn't care whether Ireina is the descendant of the evil gods or incarnate of evil herself, because for him, she's a ray of sunshine after a thunderstorm. Ireina is shocked to hear this, since she always thought Ard would run away from her if he found out the truth. Instead, Ard directs his fury on Elzard for calling her a monster. As the battle begins, Ard tells Elzard that he is going to break her overconfidence and blasts her into the sky. Believing the battle is over, Ireina hugs Ard when they notice something gleaming behind the clouds. In the next moment, Elzard transforms into a huge dragon, causing Ard to create a plasma barrier around himself and Ireina. He then tells Ireina to close her eyes, while he fends them from Elzard, who is hell-bent on destroying them. After reciting a mantra, Ard summons the spirit of his most trusted general, Lydia, and turns her into a magnificent sword. Both Ireina and Elzard are shocked by the amount of power Ard has while he takes flight and tells Elzard that he is going to defeat her in an aerial battle. Elzard mocks him and says that a dragon can never be defeated in the open air, but Ard ignores her and activates an alpha code. But before the final strike, Elzard tells Ard that in due time, Ireina will come to hate him for being an overpowered monster, and in the end, he will die as a lonely man. Because of his past, Ard freezes until Ireina yells at him to defeat Elzard, making him realize that he is no longer alone. Once the alpha code reaches 100%, Ard destroys Elzard and the ground below them. After the battle, Ard tells Lydia to return inside his soul, and she quietly obeys his command. As he descends back on the ground, he asks Ireina if she would continue to be his friend. Ireina replies in her usual happy tone that she will always be his friend, but in truth, she is afraid of being left behind by Ard since she is weak while he is no less than Satoru in terms of strength. But instead of running away, Ireina makes a vow to herself that she will become strong so she can proudly stand next to Ard. Meanwhile, deep inside a dungeon, Sophie summons a powerful sword and defeats the floor boss, ending her 3 years of training. However, her celebration is cut short when she sniffs her pits and realizes she smells like rotten onions. Without further delay, she returns to the village, only to find it turned into early London. Surprised by this, Sophie wonders what happened to their battle with the evil gods, when suddenly a masked man addresses her by name and asks if her 300 years of training were any good. Noticing the shock on Sophie's face, the man asks her whether she knew that time moves differently in the dungeon she went into. Sophie pretends that she already knew this and follows the masked stranger. She then asks him how he knows her, so he explains that he used to serve the demon lord, Varvatos. The name sparks Sophie's interest, since her elder sister, Lydia, used to serve the demon lord. She eagerly asks the man to take her to Varvatos' castle, but the man tells her that he is dead. While Sophie freezes in shock, the man tells her that Varvatos has been reincarnated as a boy named Ard, but he's currently living a peaceful life so he can avoid the duties of the demon lord. Upon hearing this, Sophie becomes pissed and sets her mind on being a nuisance in Ard's life. Meanwhile, Gold tells Ard and his baddies that the school is hosting yet another event to get donations from foreigners. Ard and the girls sigh, knowing that this fatso wants to rake in donations so he can fly to Turkey for a hair transplant. Continuing, Gold reveals that since their 100th anniversary is also approaching, they are going to host a play. Ireina becomes excited at the sound of it, so Gold urges them to participate in it. While the girls are excited for it, Gold tells them that he is sure their play will be a hit since Ard has become super popular among the masses. Gold's tone suddenly becomes sad as he tells Ard that they received a warning letter, telling them to cancel the play. When Ard sees it, he realizes that the letter is created from human skin and is sent by someone known as Lars Al Ghul. Gold then requests Ard to patrol the academy since only he is capable of defeating such vicious people. While Ard is contemplating, Ireina assures the headmaster that Ard will take care of everything, making him sigh in annoyance. Since he is now on patrol duty, Ard asks Gold to assemble a team of decent fighters that can provide him with backup. Gold assures him that Olivia is already working on that, but that only gives Ard extra tension, since he knows Olivia is out to get him. Later in class, Ard is chilling with Ginny and Ireina when Sophie bursts through the door, asking about him. While she is trying to find him, Ard panics at the sight of her when Olivia smacks her down and says that she hasn't grown up at all. Ard agrees with Olivia, and when Sophie catches him nodding, she realizes that he is Ard and accuses him of running away from his duties as the Demon Lord. While everyone is surprised, Ard tries to tell Sophie that she must have had a misunderstanding, but she counters that she did her research. Olivia quickly tells Sophie to show her the evidence, as it would confirm her pre-existing doubts. Meanwhile, Ginny and Ireina discuss among themselves that it makes sense for Ard to be the incarnation of the Demon Lord, since he is way too strong for an average Joe. Suddenly, Sophie challenges Ard to have a battle with her, and if she wins, he must tell her the truth. By now, Ireina is fed up with Sophie's brattiness, and she tells her to back off. When Sophie sees her, she is reminded of her sister, Lydia, and she shyly asks Ireina why she is hanging around with a loser like Ard. When Ireina proudly declares that she is Ard's best friend, Sophie asks her to befriend her as well, but Ireina says no. This upsets Sophie so much that she tells Ard that the duel is back on, and when he tries to get out of it, Olivia intervenes and forces Ard to participate in it. Knowing that Olivia is using Sophie to see if he's the Demon Lord, Ard agrees to the fight and secretly plans to lose. Moments later, they step outside, and right away, Ard finds himself sucked into a high-stakes battle as Sophie charges at him with super speed. As he tries to dodge her attacks, Sophie mocks him, calling him a weak gooner, which pisses him off. Despite wanting to break her ego, Ard forces himself to calm down. Sophie then swings her sword near Ard's face, which pushes him to defeat her. Olivia declares Ard as the winner, and that leaves Sophie furious. She tells Olivia and Ard that she's not backing down so easily, and summons a sword called Demise Argus. Seeing this, Ard warns Sophie not to use that sword, but she ignores him and swings her sword, causing the whole area to get covered in thick purple mist. Meanwhile, Ard tries to shield himself from her attacks, as he doesn't want to escalate the fight. Luckily, Olivia intervenes and orders Sophie to stop at once. She tells her to look around, and Sophie finds all the students lying unconscious. Olivia then reprimands her for using the Demise Argus, since it unleashes poisonous mana with every slash. When Olivia tells her that Lydia would be disappointed in her, Sophie becomes angry and tells Olivia that what she has done is nothing compared to the crimes committed by Varvatos. Ard remains quiet, but Ireina boinks Sophie on the head and tells her that her powers are useless if she is not mindful of those around her. This causes Sophie to remember Lydia, who once said the same thing to her. As she starts to cry, Ireina pats her head and gently tells her that it's okay. A few days later, Ard tells his class they're going to put up a play on Varvatos, the great demon lord, when he suddenly hears Sophie yelling outside. As he and his cuddle crew rush out, they find Sophie screaming at some rich snobs for mocking their class. As things get heated, Sophie and Ireina challenge the brats from another class that whoever wins the top prize at the school event will be labeled as the elite class for the entire semester. Once the terms have been set, Ard tells his class they have to think of a theme that will attract visitors to their class. So Ginny quickly tells Ard they should do a raunchy maid cafe where all the girls will dress as OnlyFans models to serve their customers. Since no one has a problem with it, Ard agrees and tells Ginny that she's in charge of the costumes. Meanwhile, the same masked man watches Ard from afar and plans his downfall. On the day of the event, Ireina and Ard goof around while Ard tries to convince himself that he is doing a good job at patrolling the area, when suddenly a blast goes off in the distance. The duo quickly rushes to the site, only to find Sophie accusing a middle-aged boomer of being a demon. Sighing deeply, Ard tells the idiot to lower the sword, but Sophie remains stubborn and counters that the man has something demonic about him. Olivia enters the scene and tells Sophie to stop being a brat, revealing that she knows the man and has even worked with him at his burger joint. As Sophie starts to feel guilty for jumping on an elderly person, Olivia tells her that she's fired from patrolling duties. After that, Ireina looks at a giant tree in the park and tells Ard that she always feels weird looking at it. So Ard tells her about the legendary Sword King, who buried something underneath the tree. When they ask Olivia if she knows something about the story, she cryptically says that she can't speak on the subject. However, she does tell Ard that there's going to be a Sword King tournament, and she agreed to participate in it. Ard is excited for it, and even tells Olivia that she will surely win the tournament, until Olivia reveals that he is going to participate as well. Startled by the news, Ard tells Olivia that he hates showing off his powers, but the woman refuses to listen to any excuse and just tells Artie boy to suck it up. Later on, Ard returns to his class to check up on the maid cafe, but once again finds Sophie stirring up trouble by pointing a sword at a dude. When Ard asks her who her latest victim is, Sophie reveals that the boy was grabbing her yams. Ard takes swift action and teleports the man to a prison when Ginny arrives and invites him to the maid cafe. Noticing her hard eyes, Ard reluctantly agrees and right away gets the ultimate harem prince treatment by Ginny and her squad of maids. Just as his tomatoes are about to explode from all the tension, Ireina arrives and screams at him for fooling around with all the tramps. At this, Ginny tells Ireina to let Ard enjoy, but she refuses to back down and changes into a maid costume. After that, she tells everyone that she is going to serve Ard, which upsets Ginny and the other girls, while Ard sighs as his sausage says goodnight after seeing the cat fight. Suddenly, the announcement for the Sword King tournament goes off, and the announcer reveals that the winning prize would be the Holy Sword, Vald Galgulus, which pushes Sophie to participate since it's the same sword Lydia once used. Seeing Sophie's enthusiasm, Ginny and Ireina decide to join as well, hoping it would get them Ard's attention. The tournament begins the next day, and the announcer announces all the contestants for this year. Once the matches are started, Ireina and Sophie easily defeat their first opponents, while Olivia scares her competitor with just her aura. Ard also defeats his opponent, and after that, he works on a plan that'll ensure his defeat in the final match, as he doesn't want Olivia to find out his true identity. Moments later, Ginny steps into the ring to fight a fearsome senior, and immediately gets owned by him. As she starts to panic, Ard hollers at her to get back up and face the senior head-on. This gives Ginny enough courage to defeat the cocky senior, and later on, she runs to thank Ard, who praises her for not giving up. Noticing that Ireina isn't lurking around, Ginny shows Ard a poster about the Mr. and Miss Beauty contest and tells him to join her as she will be participating in the contest. Ard tries to turn her down, stating that he has patrolling duties, but Ginny convinces him by saying that there will be a lot of people at the event, so he could patrol the crowd. Moments later, Ard scans the crowd of people for any suspicious activity when he notices a familiar student and realizes it's Spencer. Thinking he is here to bully Ginny, Ard addresses him quickly, only to realize that he has turned into a total land whale. Out of curiosity, Ard asks Spencer why he has turned into a person of calories and learns that after Spencer was humiliated, he became a depressed couch potato. Spencer also tells Ard that he just came here to quietly goon to the hot chicks and didn't know that Ginny was participating in the contest. As they see Ginny flaunting her cups in a maid outfit, Spencer gets sad over fumbling a baddie like her. He shares with Ard that Ginny's family was in charge of serving his family, and that's why they were always together. However, Ginny was bad at everything she did, so he tried to motivate her with tough love. Ard nods in understanding, as Spencer further reveals that her father constantly pressured him to treat their servants with disdain, and all of that led to him behaving rudely with Ginny. After concluding his backstory, Spencer thanks Ard for helping Ginny become a diamond, and in response, Ard tells Spencer to get rid of his self-loathing. Spencer admits that the only way he can get over his mistakes is by apologizing to Ginny. Ard then tells Spencer that he understands his pain and thinks about how he hasn't yet told Sophie the truth about Lydia. After this conversation, Ginny and Ard are declared the winners of the beauty contest. Ard flexes the trophy as if he participated in the contest, and later on, Ginny tells him that she never imagined winning the contest. So, in response, Ard orders Ginny to be proud of herself and praises her by saying that she is a lovely woman, which makes Ginny's punani soaking wet. She then tells Ard that because of him, she may be able to like herself. As they return to the maid cafe, Ginny is shocked to find a line of simps waiting for her. When Ireina sees the cup in her hands, she starts pouting like a spoiled brat about how she wanted to participate in the beauty pageant as well. A few hours later, the final round of the Sword King tournament takes place between Olivia and Ard. She quickly rushes at him with her sword, and Ard tries his best to deflect the attack by creating a plasma wall. However, the shield is so powerful that it ends up sending Olivia to Pluto, which results in Ard's disqualification. Later on, Ireina and Ginny face each other as Ginny tells Ireina that she won't ever lose to someone who wants to monopolize on Ard's sausage. Despite the big talk, Ginny ends up losing to Ireina, who later tells her that she is the only girl who belongs next to Ard. Several hours later, it's finally time for the play, and backstage, Ginny tells Ard that she feels nervous, despite being a minor character. Hearing this, Ireina becomes more anxious since she plays the role of Lydia and is a huge part of the play. Seeing Ireina stutter like a broken recorder, Ard assures her that she will captivate the audience with just her beauty, but unfortunately, the Riz doesn't work on her, making Ard realize they are in deep trouble. Meanwhile, Sophie gets emotional seeing bits of traces of Lydia and Ireina, but holds herself together for the sake of the show. When it's finally time for the play, Ard plays the role of himself, Varvatos, the great demon lord, but finds himself cringing with every line. While he's in the middle of the performance, Ard has a flashback of what actually happened during the mission. He was about to march on the evil god's castle with Lydia when Sophie insisted that she wanted to come as well, but Lydia angrily told her to stay back, which filled Sophie with embarrassment. Suddenly, the evil god appeared and told Varvatos and his comrades to enjoy the night, because tomorrow they would all be dead. That night, while Varvatos was resting, Sophie came up to him and asked if he too thought she was a useless bum. She explained how Lydia was always leaving her out of the missions, even though she worked hard to get stronger. Varvatos then assured Sophie that her sister only wanted to protect her from getting flatlined because Lydia wanted to leave her legacy to her. Despite her shock, Sophie insisted that she wanted to help her big sister, so Varvatos permitted her to do whatever she wanted, assuring her that he would take full responsibility. Sophie hugged him with delight, but deep down, Varvatos was worried that if something happened to her, Lydia would eat him alive. However, the next morning, the evil god unsheathed his sword, the Demise Argus, and told Varvatos that he was going to cut him down. But as he stepped forward, a landmine exploded on his face, which activated other landmines that took down all his troops. While the blast didn't flatline the evil god, Lydia's blade sure did. After the battle was won by Varvatos, Sophie revealed that she was the one who set all the traps. While she was celebrating, Varvatos asked her to deactivate all the remaining traps, but Sophie casually revealed that she didn't know the location of the other traps, which earned her a punch. As Varvatos and his crew were retreating to their base, Sophie cried over being treated like a dummy, but Varvatos told her that she should be glad he's not sending her to Olivia's boot camp. That's when Lydia told Varvatos to chill out, since it's because of Sophie that everyone came back from the battle unscathed. Sophia was shocked that her sister was taking her side, but then Lydia apologized to her for shouting at her earlier. In the present, Ard and his team thank everyone for watching their play, while Sophie grows more depressed over Lydia. Suddenly, she notices a woman with white hair like Lydia's and runs after her. Meanwhile, Ard tells Ireina that tomorrow is the last day of the school event, which makes Ireina wonder why Lars Al Ghul hasn't yet made his move. Around the same time, Sophie discovers that the woman she thought was Lydia was actually just a hottie with white hair. Just then, the masked man greets Sophie and tells her to come with him. A few hours later, Ginny and Ard wait for Sophie to show up, when Ginny mentions to him that Sophie started acting weird since the play was over. While Ard wonders what could be bugging Sophie, Ginny assumes that it's because she has developed feelings for him. Right on cue, Sophie shows up and blankly tells Ard to come by the Sword's King tree after her match with Ireina. He agrees, and later at the arena, Sophie defeats Ireina with a single jab, shocking everyone. Later that night, Sophie waits by the tree, while Ireina and Ginny hide in the bushes since they believe Sophie is about to confess to Ard. Moments later, Ard arrives, and Sophie gets straight to the point by telling Ard that she wants to delete him. As she says that, the holy sword, Vald Galgulus in her hand starts to gleam, illuminating the tree, and Ard realizes that it's not just a mere replica. Sophie then reveals that the Vald Galgulus, once wielded by her sister, was buried deep inside the tree, and after telling Ard that, she summons the Demise Argus. Then, combining both swords, Sophie goes ham on Ard. While they're fighting, Ard realizes that Sophie is acting strangely and wonders if someone brainwashed her. At the same time, the masked man watches the clash and has a flashback to when Sophie confronted him, saying that she doesn't believe Ard is the demon lord. That pissed him off, so he showed Sophie a glimpse of the past when Varvatos flatlined Lydia. After seeing that, Sophie is left traumatized, and the masked man tells her that her only goal is to take revenge for Lydia's death. In the present, Sophie cuts down Ard and thinks that she has successfully avenged her sister. However, instead of feeling good, she gets angry and sets her eyes on destroying the whole world. Suddenly, Ireina and Ginny arrive at the scene and try to stop Sophie from going nuts, but she easily overwhelms them both. Moments later, Ard appears in the form of Varvatos, which further infuriates Sophie, so she starts attacking Ard from left and right. In retaliation, Ard fires a cancellation magic at her, but even that doesn't break her mind control. In the end, Ard prepares to delete Sophie since he wants her to be remembered as a noble fighter instead of being known as the German guy with a funny mustache. Then out of nowhere, Sophie hears Lydia's voice coming from Ard's body. As she stops in her tracks, the masked man appears and kicks her off while calling her useless. Ard immediately knows that he is the one behind who brainwashed Sophie, so he asks him what he wants. Instead of replying to him, the man grabs Sophie's swords and announces that he is going to destroy the royal capital. Just when he activates the power of Demise Argus, he gets electrocuted. Ard then tells the fool that holy swords choose their masters and shows him how to use one by finishing him off. However, when the dust settles and all that remains is the wicked man's mask, Ard thinks that he would be foolish to consider the battle over. Just as he goes to check up on Sophie, Lydia's spirit emerges and tells Sophie not to blame Ard and keep on living until her time comes, until they meet again. A few days later, Ard and his friends are going away for the field trip. During the ride, he plays UNO with Ginny and Ireina, and Ginny makes a fuss about taking multiple L's in the game. Suddenly, the carriage comes to a halt, and everything freezes in time except for Ard and his sausage fans. As Ard is trying to figure out what happened, he falls right into a limbo with Ginny and Ireina landing directly on his meat sword. While they're trying to figure out what just happened, a girl welcomes and calls them the Chosen Ones. Ard immediately asks her if she is a demon, and the girl appears behind him and tells him that she is a god, which spooks them out. Ard then asks her what she wants, and she explains that a creature is going to attack their world, so she wants them to defeat this creature. Before Ard can register what's being said, the girl teleports them to a strange place, which Ard can tell is from ancient times. Out of curiosity, Ginny asks Ard how he knows this, so he tells them to look up, and they see 2 moons in the sky. He then explains that back in ancient times, the world had 2 moons until an event caused one of the moons to be lost. He also adds that they're in the Vardia Empire, a nation which was once ruled by the demon lord Varvatos, so by that calculation, the demon lord must be alive. While the girls are shocked, Ard tells them they need to have an audience with Varvatos so they can defeat this creature and return to their time. As Ginny glazes Ard for being so smart, Ireina gets upset and pushes her cherries against Ard to show Ginny that she is still Ard's number 1. Suddenly, they see a girl running away from a huge insect, which creeps Ireina out. So, Ard reveals that what they're seeing is Death Stinger, and that shocks Ginny since the insect was much smaller and harmless in their time. Meanwhile, Ard quickly does his hero crap by blasting the Death Stinger to smithereens. Since the blast Nagasaki'd the entire area, Olivia comes up to Ard and praises him for being strong. Upon seeing their instructor, the girls call out to Olivia like they're old buddies, which weirds her out, so she asks them if they've met before. Ard quickly salvages the situation by telling Olivia that everyone has heard about how strong she is, and that's why the girls address her like she's Jungkook from BTS. Instead of replying to the compliment, Olivia unleashes a powerful wind that puts Ireina and Ginny in a temporary coma, but Ard remains unfazed, and that further impresses Olivia. A few hours later, they arrive at the city, and the girls realize they have basically ended up in the Roman civilization. Judging their reaction, Olivia asks if they're from a different country, so before she suspects anything, Ard tells her they're from a different region. After that, Olivia asks Ard to join their forces since they are being attacked by those who live in outer space, known as the Outer Ones. Since they created demons to fight humanity, their forces have dwindled drastically. Fortunately, they have Varvatos, who introduced magic to humanity, which is why they have been able to fight the Outer Ones and the demons. Ard listens patiently as Olivia tells him they need someone as skilled as he is in their legions. However, Ard knows the real reason behind Olivia's invitation is that she can't let someone as powerful as him roam freely. So he tells her that he has 2 conditions. First, she allows Ireina and Ginny to join him, and secondly, they want to be enlisted as part of Lady Verda's forces. His last request shocks Olivia, and she tells Ard that a man as strong as him shouldn't waste his talents in the logistics department, but Ard tells her that they're fledgling magic scholars, which is why they should be enlisted in Verdi's forces since her squad has a low mortality rate. Olivia sighs in disappointment but assures Ard that she will make it happen. A few hours later, Ard and his girls arrive at Verdi's research center, and while Ireina and Ginny are nervous, Ard thinks to himself that joining Verdi is the safest bet in this era. Suddenly, the research center blows to bits, shocking Ireina and Ginny, while Ard remains unfazed, knowing the worst is yet to come. Moments later, Verdi appears and asks them if they witnessed that cool explosion. Ard already feels a headache coming as Verdi laughs shamelessly at her mistake. Since the girls have only seen Verdi in old portraits that made her look mature, they fail to recognize her at first until she introduces herself, which leaves the girls in shock as they never expected her to be a loli. Moments later, Verdi magically restores the research center and invites them inside. After that, Verda asks Ard what the real reason is for their enlistment since it's rare for people to join her squad. Ard comes clean and reveals they are from the future, which excites Verde, so she tells Ard that she's going to help them return to their time. Before they can continue their conversation, Sophie knocks on the door and starts chasing after Verde. When Sophie is unable to catch her, she calls her sister for help, and moments later, Lydia appears, causing the girls to fangirl over her since history remembers Lydia as a world-class champion. Their illusion quickly breaks as Lydia grabs Verde and starts cursing her like your grandpa cussed out your grandma. As she yells at Verde to give her more backup, Verde tells her to use her latest recruits. When Lydia's eyes land on Ginny's round melons, she starts foaming from her mouth and quickly invites Ginny to a pajama party at her villa. As Ginny starts to panic, Ard intervenes by pushing Lydia away from Ginny, which ticks her off, and she asks Ard to fight her outside. Moments later, they start clashing, and while Ard plays fair, Lydia blinds him by throwing sand in his eyes. With his vision compromised, Lydia feeds him multiple knuckle sandwiches. Ard quickly gets up on his feet and starts beating down Lydia. After hours of fighting, they both lie on the ground with swollen faces until Ard gets up to leave. Suddenly, Lydia tells Ard that she needs his power to protect the realm, which shocks Ard since Lydia used to be his best friend. He quickly composes himself and asks Lydia to arrange a meeting with Varvatos for him, but she tells him to accomplish something first because Varvatos doesn't grant anyone such favors. Ard knows Lydia is right, so he agrees to earn Varvatos' trust by his own efforts. A few hours later, Lydia brings Ard and his friends to stay at her villa, just so she can diddle Ginny. Moments later, Lydia's maid, Latima, comes to tell Ard that he should treat the villa like it's his friend's house. After she leaves, Ard is hit by guilt for doing Lydia wrong in his past life. A few days later, Ard and his friends enter the battlefield along with the Demon Lord's forces. As the girls express their worries about getting yeeted, Ard assures them that they're safe. Since he has already seen these battles before, Ard recalls how Lydia and Verde's forces took down multiple fortresses built by demons. Shortly after, the battle begins, and while Lydia charges at the enemies, Ard and his girls stay behind to help the medics. Suddenly, the enemy commander Bolgan arrives on the rear end of the battle and zaps all the medics with electricity, making Ard realize that Bolgan is trying to destroy their supplies. Instead of being scared, Ard sees it as an opportunity to prove himself and get a chance to see Varvatos. At the front lines, Sophie manages to infiltrate the enemy castle, but Lydia states that something is wrong since they haven't yet been confronted by a high-ranking enemy. Suddenly, a soldier arrives and tells Lydia about what's happening at the rear. As Bolgan takes a step forward, Ard cooks him up like a well-done steak by the time Lydia and Sophie arrive. Shocked by this, Lydia asks what happened, so Ard reveals that he took care of that weakling, which makes Lydia laugh since Bolgan had been a menace to their forces. Since the defeat of Bolgan is a huge feat, Lydia tells Ard that he can now meet Varvatos. So the next day, Ard and the girls take a carriage ride to Castle Millennium, and the shawties start tweaking out over the beautiful palace. Hearing all the praise, Ard internally feels happy until Sophie rudely states that the castle isn't that great, pissing off Ard. Before entering the courtroom, Ard wonders whether Varvatos will find him suspicious for defeating a high-ranking enemy commander when a fireball suddenly bamboozles him. Acting quickly, Ard creates a plasma barrier, shielding himself and his oral support crew from the attack. As the smoke clears, Sir Alvarto, one of Varvatos' generals, praises Ard for deflating the attack. Lydia then scolds Alvarto for scaring the recruits and challenges him to fight her when, suddenly, a voice asks them why they are both always causing trouble. Moments later, Varvatos appears, engulfed in a divine light, which makes Ireina and Ginny weak in the knees. Varvatos then tells Alvarto that he held a secret meeting because he wanted to protect the recruits from his wrath. After ordering him to leave, Varvatos looks at the girls, which gets them squealing in excitement. Ard can't help but be jealous of himself for making two hotties cream without even touching them. Shortly after that, Ard finds himself inside the courtroom, with Varvatos sitting on the throne while his servants bug him for different things. Seeing this, Ginny and Ireina mutter how cool the Demon Lord is, which catches Varvatos' attention, so he asks them who they're calling the Demon Lord. This surprises Ard because by now he was already known as the Demon Lord. Varvatos, who is equally confused, says there is already a Demon Lord and is wondering why he was addressed by the same title, so Ard quickly apologizes and tells Varvatos they must have jinxed him. Since Ard is deeply confused by everything, he tells everything to Verd, who speculates that someone has altered the history, which is why they now have two Demon Lords instead of one. This makes Ard recall that the self-proclaimed god also said something similar, that a creature is trying to upset the natural order of the world. After a moment of thought, Ard tells them that they have to defeat the second demon lord, and that might help them return to their time. Ginny is so impressed by his thinking that she tells Ard to use her back door tonight. Naturally, Ireina can't stand being second, so she tells Ard they should ask Varvatos for help. However, Verda states that Varvatos won't be able to help them and reveals that this demon lord appeared 3 years ago and started conquering the territories of the Outer Ones and those that belonged to Varvatos. When Verde adds that Varvatos failed to defeat the demon lord, Ard realizes that his powers must be insignificant in front of this new threat. Since they're in quite a predicament, Ginny suggests that Ard reveal the whole truth to Varvatos, but despite liking the idea, Ard tells her they haven't gained Varvatos' trust yet to ask for favors, which means they must earn more achievements for him. Luckily, the opportunity arises quickly as Lydia bursts through the door and urgently tells Ard to come with her to the front lines. Ard agrees quickly, which shocks Lydia, and later on the way, she asks him why he agreed so swiftly. Ard hesitates to reply, and Sophie thinks it's because he wants to steal another glory from her. Ignoring the brat, Lydia tells Ard that it was a good decision that he left Ireina and Ginny behind since they are up against Mavilas, the Cursed King. After hearing the name, Ard's eyes widen in horror, and Sophie quickly notices his reaction and tells Ard that he's right to be scared since Mavilas is one of the archdemons. She then tells Ard to remember this detail, but he thinks to himself that he can't possibly forget about Mavilas, since he was the reason why he flatlined Lydia. An hour later, the battle begins, and Ard quickly destroys the skeletons guarding the palace. Seeing this, Lydia tells him that he is awfully excited and warns him not to do anything stupid, but Ard already knows this as he promises himself not to let history repeat itself. Before they can enter, the castle suddenly goes up in flames, shocking everyone. After rushing inside, they see someone beheading Mavilas, before being greeted by a man covered in armor. Ard quickly confronts him by asking who he is, and the man reveals he is the Demon Lord, a monster of violence, an enemy of the world. After that super lame introduction, the Demon Lord tells Ard and his crew to tell Varvatos that he is going to steal all their lands, and if he has a problem with it, he is welcome to battle him. The next day, Varvatos holds a council to discuss the Demon King and his declaration of war, but then a few nobles criticize the presence of Ard and his friends. Varvatos quickly shuts them down, claiming that Ard's feats cannot be ignored, which is why he deserves to be in the meeting. Returning to the subject, Varvatos tells the council that he intends to wage a war against the Demon Lord with all his might, causing Lyser, one of the members, to ask if he's going to deploy the 4 heavenly kings. Varvatos then reveals that he is going to enter the battlefield himself, which excites Alvarto and Lydia as they are dying to fight beside one of the greatest men in their world. However, the council tries to dissuade Varvatos from his decision, but he assures them that he is going to wrap up the battle in one day, shocking Ard, who then asks him what he plans to do against an enemy that claims to be immoral. Varvatos tells him it's a secret and announces they have 3 days to prepare for the war. Their only order, destroy the enemy's castle. Later that day, Ard speculates that the history must have changed by now, since those who were supposed to die are still alive. Just when he's thinking about how to correct the order of history, the Demon Lord appears suddenly and tells Ard that if he tries to fix these changes, Lydia will meet the same unfortunate end. Ard tries to play dumb by pretending that he doesn't know what he means, so the Demon Lord tells him to stop acting, since he came from the future. Shocked, Ard asks what he means, and the Demon Lord reveals that he is him. With that, he removes his helmet, which shocks Ard as he finds himself staring at a daddy version of himself. The Demon Lord then tells Ard that he is from a different dimension, so like him, he was once Varvatos, then he became Ard and achieved a lot, only to lose everything, which is why he is currently known as Disaster Rouge. While he is still processing everything, Ard asks the Demon Lord how he came to the past, and he reveals that a god sent him, shocking Ard further. He then tells Ard that he wants to save Lydia, and assumes he wants the same thing, so he asks Ard to join him. Before he says yes, Ard tells the Demon Lord he has 2 questions. The first one being, why he hasn't discussed anything with Varvatos, so the Demon Lord reveals that he hates Varvatos the most because of him, and he lost Lydia. After that, Ard asks him why he is fighting against Varvatos, and the Demon Lord reveals that he was assigned a mission by the god, to destroy the world. Ard is horrified by his answer, and asks him how he's going to save Lydia by destroying the world. The Demon Lord replies that even before Lydia's mind was overtaken by Mavilas's curse, she was infected by grief of losing her friends in the year-long battles. Despite his reasoning, Ard is unable to understand how destroying the world will save Lydia, so the Demon Lord pushes him to remember what happened during Lydia's last battle. Ard then recalls that he used Lydia as a pawn against the final war with the Outer Ones, which ended horribly. Seeing the look of realization on Ard's face, the Demon Lord grabs him and asks why he couldn't have taken the risk himself. He then blames himself for turning Lydia into a force that would have threatened the world had he not deleted her. Seeing his erratic behavior, Ard realizes that his self from another world is deeply scarred by Lydia's death. The Demon Lord further confirms this by revealing that he unalived himself because he couldn't live with the guilt. However, instead of resting in peace, he was reincarnated as Ard, whose life was equally painful as he kept losing everything dear to him due to his own failures. This is why he is going to save Lydia and commit violent crimes so she can finish him off. After finishing his explanation, the Demon Lord asks Ard to join him. And just when he's about to say yes, Lydia's spirit tells him not to do anything stupid. Seeing Ard's hesitance, the Demon Lord tells him that he is going to let him think for a while and vanishes. Hours later, Ard returns to the dining room, where he sees everyone having a happy meal until Lydia asks him to come with her. Moments later, they arrive at the marketplace where Lydia tries to riz some chicks. Once she is done flirting, she tells Ard that he should also have a night of passion before the big war. Ard declines and calls Lydia stupid for just sleeping with anyone, which earns him a punch in the face. Soon, a brawl starts between the two, and after fighting for hours, Ard and Lydia lie exhausted on the ground. Lydia then asks Ard if this helped him clear his thoughts, and he realizes that her intuition is as sharp as ever. So he asks Lydia if she could sacrifice everything for one person. Would she do it? Instead of replying to him, she orders him to activate his flight skill, and seconds later, they arrive at a rundown city. While Ard is examining the area, he notices a bunch of spirits seeping out from the ground. However, in Lydia's vision, the ghosts unite to become a huge monster and call Lydia a fiend, an animal who murdered their families. Seeing her so lost, Ard asks Lydia why they are here, and she reveals that these ruins were once used to be inhabited by demons who lived with their families. However, during the war, she was tasked to claim the castle, so she defeated all the enemy troops and seized the city. But the locals refused to accept her authority and started launching attacks against her allies. So to save them, she ordered the mass murder of all the locals. When Ard tries to argue that Aaron did the same to Marlians, Lydia shuts him down by saying that demons and humans are alike. She is a murderer who deserves to die a pitiful death during battle. Then, facing Ard, Lydia tells him that she is not someone he should sacrifice everything for. A few days later, Varvatos and his army clash against the Demon Lord's army of immortal soldiers. Meanwhile, Ard has a meeting with the Demon Lord, who asks him if he's going to join him, but Ard says no and tells him that Lydia wants to die in battle. Upon hearing his answer, the Demon Lord starts attacking him, and after clashing for a while, they both realize they are evenly matched. That's when the Demon Lord smugly reveals to Ard that he predicted this outcome, which is why he already has a backup plan. Back at Lydia's villa, Ginny and Ireina realize they are always getting left behind because they are utterly useless. Just then, Latima shows up and tells them that Ard has requested their presence. Believing they'll finally be useful, Ginny and Ireina become happy, so they immediately agree to come with Latima. On their way, Latima tells the girls that Ard wants them to come to the Demon Lord's castle as he has discovered the cause of his immortality. Somehow, Ireina becomes suspicious and asks Latima why Ard told her instead of telling them directly. Latima then reveals that Ard wants them to operate under absolute secrecy because he believes that the Demon Lord has used a secret soul separation technique where the user separates the body from the soul. So, according to Ard, the Demon Lord has preserved his soul in a vessel, which he has kept secretly in his castle. However, there are drawbacks to this technique, as the user must never be more than a certain distance away from the vessel, and if the vessel is destroyed, the user will automatically lose their immortality. Approaching the castle, Latima tells the girls that Varvatos is fighting a fake battle, which was intended to keep everyone occupied so they can shatter the vessel. After hearing the details, Ireina starts to panic, wondering why Ard would entrust them with such a huge responsibility. Noticing her hesitance, Ginny grabs Ireina and starts building a plot with her while telling her that if Ard saw her behave like a wimp, he would never include her in his harem. This snaps Ireina out of her self-doubt, and she declares that Ard only belongs to her, causing Ginny to become happy. Suddenly, Latima pushes them down while getting slashed by an unknown enemy. She then tells the girls to hurry off while she holds the enemies back. At the battlefield, Verdi, Alvardo, Olivia, and Sophie do their best against the immortal army of the Demon Lord, while Ginny and Ireina arrive at the Demon Lord's castle. Just as they see the vessel and step forward to destroy it, they get sucked inside a magic trap that pins them on a cross. As the girls try to break free, Latima appears and tells them their struggles are useless. While they are shocked at the betrayal, elsewhere, Ard angrily questions the Demon Lord if he plans on sacrificing his baddies. Instead of replying, the Demon Lord tells Ard to join him, revealing that Lydia may be happy to die, but it doesn't matter since they have to live with the guilt of murdering their best friend. That's why he is going to destroy everything so that Lydia can live. With that, the Demon Lord tells Ard that he probably feels the same way deep inside, and that makes Ard recall how miserable he was once Lydia had died. Seeing the hesitance on Ard's face, the Demon Lord tells him to join him if he wants to protect Ireina and Ginny. Speaking of them, they ask Latima why she betrayed them, and she tells them she did it for Lydia. While Ireina angrily accepts her fate, Ginny tells her that she won't go down without a fight, causing Latima to ask Ginny what she plans on doing when her magic has been sealed away. Ginny tells Latima she's going to use atypical magic before creating a magic circle. Ireina follows her lead, and together they break free of their bonds. However, instead of being scared, Latima summons multiple demons and orders them to attack Ireina and Ginny. Just when they find themselves in a pickle, Lydia arrives, and upon seeing her, Latima tells her to stand back, since she is doing everything to save her life. Lydia sighs and tells Latima that while she's touched by the gesture, she can't let her walk down a dark path. After that, she kicks Latima in the belly, before dealing with all the demons. Just as she is about to shatter the vessel, she yells at everyone to stop controlling her fate, because she wants to die fighting for a world where everyone has peace. After the vessel has been destroyed, Ard tells the Demon Lord that everything is over, but he insists that they can still save Lydia if he joins him. But Ard tells the Demon Lord that he is only trying to save himself, so he can live and die without feeling guilt for unaliving Lydia. This enrages the Demon Lord, and he starts activating a deadly spell, causing Ard to tap into his dormant powers. As they start clashing, the Demon Lord tells Ard that he will destroy everything and face judgment by Lydia's hands. Just when he's about to cut Ard down, Lydia's soul holds him back, enough for Ard to make the first strike. As the Demon Lord falls back, he tells Ard that he is making a mistake by letting history repeat itself, and when he reveals that he loves Lydia and wants to save her, Ard angrily plunges his sword into his alter ego. After the Demon Lord's death, Ard and his friends start to fade away. Before they return to their time, Lydia asks the girls if the future is brighter than the current world. This shocks the girls, who realize that Lydia knew they were from the future all along, so they tell her they are extremely happy in their lives, and so is everyone else. Relieved by this, Lydia states that she is glad her efforts weren't wasted. After that, she hugs the girls and tells them to deliver a message to Ard. Moments later, Ard and his friends are shaken awake by Sophie, who tells them they have been sleeping for way too long. After they get out of the carriage, Ireina tells Ard that Lydia wants him to know they will always remain best friends, no matter what. He then sees a spirit of Lydia who smiles at him before disappearing forever. Do you think Ireina will eat Ard's sausage? Comment here if you want to watch more such recaps.